Good morning.
Good morning.
So, how are you?
Great.
I'm
Great.
How are you?
Great.
Yes, we are great. We are doing well. We are here in the bodies that we have chosen or been assigned to. And we are present on the planet to make the world a better place. So we are doing great. We're fabulous. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just dive right in, right? The topic for today is all are called. All are called. Are you blocking or receiving your blessing? So what does that mean, right? And I've really come in touch with a lot of stuff. In our financial freedom class, we're having like these heavy conversations now about the law and what it means, and abundance and prosperity and what that means. And, you know, is abundance money or in prosperity money? Am I thriving when I have a lot of that? What is the story? And so we're having these really heavy conversations. And it's funny because the topic came a few days ago and was printed and posted, but the real bubbling up of what needed to be said started yesterday in our class. And here's the first thing. The law is impersonal. It does not care what color you are. It does not care how tall or short you are. It does not care what sex you are. It does not care what your sexual preference is or your sexual identity is or whatever your sexual persuasion is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care what language you speak. It is just the law. And if you don't believe this, I said it to my students. This is a lawful universe. And if you think that the law is personal, go step off the building, bunch of you, and see who falls and who doesn't. The law of gravity says what? If you step off into air, you're going to do what? Splat, hit the ground. There is no only the white people will splat or only the black people will splat. It won't only be the Hispanic people to splat. It won't be the short people or the tall people. If you go into that law, you're going to go splat. Period. Okay? This is a lawful universe. The power and presence of God, right, is right here, right now. Always permeating, radiating through all things. It undergirds everything. It is the source of the universe, and it is who we are. It is what we are created out of. Image and likeness and the very substance of God itself has created us. And so the law is present and available to all of us. It is present and available to all of us. It is calling all of us. All of us are called to our highest good, our highest greatness, our highest greater yet to be. We're all called for a specific and magnificent purpose with divine things to do, every one of us necessary for the unfoldment of the next level of human consciousness, of human existence. We are here for this time, such a time as this. This time, right here, right now, is what we're called to be in, and our work, our service, our gift, our generosity on the planet is necessary for right now. We are necessary. And so there is no thing that any one of us can do to change the law and make it personal. There's nothing you can do. If you drop a tomato, you let it go, it falls to the ground. It's an apple, you let it go, it falls to the ground. There's nothing that you or I can do to change the nature of the law and make it more personal. It becomes personal because we put what we put into it. And so what we get are personalized results. But the law is not working. The presence of God is not working just personally in your life to make your life any harder or easier than anyone else's. The presence of God is present everywhere, undivided, sourcing all things. And it is what is got the entire universe, not just the planet, the entire universe working in perfect order and harmony. Perfect order and harmony. It is happening right now in our lives. And all of us have the opportunity to engage with the law, to enter into the law of life itself and create our own personalized expression. Because each one of us are individualized expressions of the Most High. Each one of us with our own individualized gift. Safi with her beautiful music and the mothering of her lovely children. Individualized expression, and everything that Safi puts into the law receives a response, because the law is happening always, always, always. So when I believe, right, when I believe, not just when I start to believe a set of principles, I start to live my life from that set of principles. It has to become something that I know. I can believe in something all I want, but until I know it, I'm not going to get up off my butt and do anything about it. I have to know the truth to live from the truth. I can believe in a set of principles, and that's why this philosophy, the idea of new thought and ageless wisdom, works for me. When I stepped into it, it was a provable set of points. If I put in, if I gave, I received. The more I gave, the more I received. If I ate well, right, I felt more energetic. The more that I gave, the more opportunities came for me to give. The more that I exercised, the stronger I felt, the better my blood pressure. My numbers went down on the sugar scale. Everything shifted when I started to activate the truth, right? So in this set of teachings that we have, when we say there's only one power, one presence, that power and presence is God. It is a system of laws. It is a system of laws that absolutely supports the universe upon which we live. It is a system of laws. There is the law of circulation. There's the law of harmony. There's the law of gratitude. There is the law of reciprocity. There are so many laws in the universe that we live our lives from. And it's about what you put in it. It's about active engagement into the law. And so when I first came into this teaching and I started hearing what was being said, of course I scoffed because I had come from another teaching. And I scoffed at it, but then I started saying, okay, I'm going to try this tithing thing. I'm going to give some money and see what happens. And I got the opportunity to experience the process of the law of circulation. I started the process of giving and receiving, giving and receiving. And then I proved it to myself, right, when I allowed fear to come in and say, wait, you're giving too much, right? Uh-oh, you better tighten up on the checkbook and stop. Close that wallet. Why are you giving more? You said $10, don't change it to $20. And I started living from that place, and guess what happened? Faucet turned off, all the opportunities started drying up, all my opportunities to grow and unfold started shifting, and I was starting to feel the misery. It's really easy to get back into that place, right? You can be in flow, and it can be wonderful, and life is good, and I'm sailing through, and then you buy back into the old system of being, which is the fear, lack, limitation, worry, and doubt, and all of a sudden, everything comes to a screeching halt in your life, right? And instead of going to the place and looking back and connecting the dots back to, oh, and then I stopped giving. Oh, and then I stopped being receptive. Oh, and then I stopped receiving. I stopped talking to others. I stopped sharing my life and my gifts and my talents. We go to see this stuff doesn't work. It's all poppycock. Doesn't work. It's no good. You know, and we talk ourselves into staying stuck. We talk ourselves into staying stuck. But I'm inviting you today to break free from the false stories and the false agreements that we have made together on the planet, that some should have and some shouldn't, that this works and that doesn't work, that I can eat anything I want and it's just going to be okay, that I can pillage the planet and take from others and it's just going to be okay, that those people over there deserve and these people over here don't. We got to take ourselves back from that old belief system, because guess what? That old belief system is dying. It is dying. And if you remain caught up in that old belief system, guess what you're doing? You're choosing to die. You got to choose to live and confront the lie. It no longer serves us. That's why all this craziness is bubbling up to the surface. I said it weeks ago. I said it months ago. It's bubbling up to the surface to die in the light of exposure. And it's going to be rising up so that we can take a look at what does not work. It no longer serves us as human beings to live in lack and limitation and separation and less than, and my life is so hard. That no longer serves you. You are in your body to be amazing. You are present in your body because you have something to do on the planet that only you can do. A gift to deliver that only you can give. We are here for that, for this time right now to change and shift. And the first thing that we have to do is let go of the stuff. Let go of the stuff that no longer serves us. It no longer serves us to be in judgment. It no longer serves us to be in conflict all the time. War no longer serves us. This game with the bombs does not serve us in life. It doesn't serve our existence on the planet. And we have to stop saying the government. And we have to start being the expression of peace in our own individual ways, in our own individual lives. We have to become peace itself. What did Safi just sing to us? When you let go of expectations, that's where the peace will come. So we got to stop expecting for others, for things to happen. Oh, the government, and we got to vote a new president, and then we got to change the Congress. We have to change ourselves. Individually change ourselves. Let go of lack. Let go of limitation. Believe. Start believing. And then start knowing. And it takes work, it takes practice, it takes commitment, it takes dedication to break free from the old way of being trapped and enslaved by yourself and the lies that we've all bought into. And let me say this. These lies that we're living from are not lies that they created. These are lies that we all bought into. Individually, as a group. There is no they, it's just us. It's just us. And we have all bought into the story that there's not enough. We've bought into the story that some are better than others. We've bought into the story that it's because you're smart. We've bought into the story that this person is just lucky and will always have. We have agreed that this is okay. And until we break free from that belief system and start trusting in the power and presence of God and start understanding that right where we are, God is. Not a part of God, not 10% of God, not a little piece of God paying attention to Diane's life over here and then 90% of God paying attention to Oprah's. That's not what's happening. Oprah came up in class yesterday, so it's on the top of my mind. That is not what's happening. The power and presence of God is undividable. It cannot be broken up into parts. It is 100% everywhere all the time, which means that the power and presence of God is radiating as me all the time, and I have, as an individualized expression, the opportunity to plug into my awareness, not into some external thing, but into my awareness, and shift through practice. Through spiritual practices, shift my belief system from just believing to knowing. Because many of us come to community and sit in the chairs and we believe. And then we get up and we walk out of here and we don't know. We have to learn how to know and carry knowing in our lives at all times. Carry the idea that right where I am, God is. And we have to practice it. And it becomes a thing because we have, generations of an old belief that has managed to serve the planet to this point. But the planet is now needing, the human race consciousness is now needing us to shift into a new human consciousness for our own very survival. And if you don't believe me, read your history books, okay? Go back and look at what has happened across the planet. Complete generations are no longer, and complete cultures no longer here. Complete nations gone, no longer present on the planet. And what that is a constant evolution of the human race, the human consciousness of how we are engaging with each other, with the planet, with the trees, with the animals, with everything. We have to shift that, and we are required to do it. And it takes practice for a long time. I used to have to jog when I'm jogging and see everybody, and as they're coming towards me, I'm like, this is a perfect expression of God. And really kind of talk myself into seeing God in the person approaching me, no matter the outer expression. So it became a practice for me to greet each person. And now when I run at some really crazy hours in the morning too, I'm happy that there are other people out there with me. I get to greet the presence of God, the expression of God that's coming towards me. And I actively engage in seeing God where I go, especially when I feel judgment coming into my mind. Especially when I'm crossing the street and I'm like, well, why are you jaywalking? Whoop, judgment. You know, pull yourself back. And I constantly engage in the process of seeing God, letting go of judgment, seeing God wherever I go, waking up and seeing God in the expression of my child that comes out of bed and starts with her preteen expression of her divine self, you know. And she rolls out of bed, man, fully locked and loaded in preteen mode, and I'm like, oh, what a beautiful expression of God you are. And then I go to my room and pray, right? But it's a practice. And it's a practice. It's a practice every day to see God in every being, every child. I make it a practice every day. We have to take ourselves there until we are in knowing that this is true. So every day I sit outside and I watch the wind and the breeze gently moving the leaves on the trees. And I watch the grass and the blades of grass, and I come to, and I talk to myself. Sometimes, you know, you wake up with your to-do list going on in your head. So I go and I sit, and I talk myself into, look at the blades of grass, every single one, source and supply. Not doubting that it will grow no matter what. Not doubting that every blade will grow. The birds are flitting around. Geese are starting to head. I see skeins of geese now heading south because they're kind of trying to figure out, is it fall or winter? What are we doing? You know, so they go south and they come back and they're going south and they're trying to figure it out. And I'm watching them. They're completely clear that they're source, fuel, and funded. So every day I go out in nature and I remind myself. Just as every blade, no blade of grass, no less or more important than I. Source, fuel, and funded by the Most High, by the Creator and creation itself. Nothing separate from. And I practice. And I start my day every day with that practice so that I can remember who I am, what I'm created out of, that I'm always source, fuel, and funded. You start there every day and you practice. You practice reminding yourself. You don't just jump up and pop into the news and can start listening to continual negative news and who's doing what and what child is missing and who is dead and which storm is ravaging where. You start first with the self. With the self. You get aligned with the self. The greater self. And then from there you're aligned with everyone and everything on the planet. Then you can go in and find out what's going on. Because the news is your prayer request. And the news is an invitation for you to say to yourself, how can I serve? How can I make this better? Can I send $20 to Puerto Rico or Barbuda? The people of Barbuda have completely lost their home. The island is completely decimated and is uninhabitable. Can I send $20? Where can I buy some rice or something? Wait a minute, maybe I can just go to my cupboard and get some of those 5-pound bags I have stocked up and just take them down to the food bank or the place that's delivering. How can I serve? Because the news now becomes your prayer request. It becomes your service call. It's the knock, knock, knock. Here we go. How can I be present and be a presence? And you get that opportunity to go. And then you step out into the world. Fully aligned with your truth. Fully aligned, and you know as you walk that you're walking with others that are divine expressions of God. You know that as you walk, even when people are behaving in what appears to be at their worst level, you know that that is the way that they are individually expressing, and their calls for help, or their calls for you to come out and serve or be a part of the planet is a call that you can answer because you started with alignment. You started with remembering who you are. So you get out of bed, and before you start with all of the stuff, you start with remembering who you are. You start to break out of the old ways. You start to break out of the old ways. I know I've shared the story about how I used to lay on my sofa and fall asleep to Law and Order. right? That was like my thing. At the end of the night, all the kids are gone to bed, everybody's fed, I did good. My treat now is my couch time, right? And I get on the sofa with the ice cream. I know I've told this story. and the Law and Order, SVU, and I'm sitting there watching until I pass out from exhaustion. But this used to be the last thing that I was taking with me into my sleep. Last thing. So there's no television in my room for that very reason, because I don't want to take chaos into my sleep. My sleep time is my time to rest. It is my time to allow my body to just reintegrate from the day. And so when I'm doing that, right, for me, it is important to not have that chatter at the end of the night. It is important to go into meditation. It is important to read something spiritual. It is important to be still. Even if just laying there, I'm being still, right? Because I'm bringing myself back into alignment from all that has happened throughout the day. And I'm creating a space for myself to be in peace. To be in peace. And when I do that, it's again a part of the entire process of bringing myself from just an old belief into a new belief and through to what I know. What I know works. And see, that's the hardest part for us. Because ego and human awareness and our agreements with our own selves about how I've always been this way. This is the way I fall asleep. I can't fall asleep any other way. I've always ate like this. This is the way our people eat. We're always going to eat like this. We've always had. We've always not had. We've made our own individual agreements with ourselves anyway. And the hardest part of shifting from believing to knowing is breaking your agreements with yourself. Because if you have agreed to suffer, it's really hard to break out of that madness. If you have agreed that the only way is this way, it is really hard to break out of that. So you have to get up and shift yourself from your own agreement. There is an overall agreement, but if it begins with you, you got to let go of what you've agreed is true about you. Let go of the lie that you have said is true, because it's not. You are great. Just take a minute and think of the fact you're made out of this substance, that your heart is beating, that your lungs are doing what they do, processing the air, the oxygen, releasing what it doesn't need, and sending oxygen to all the places that are necessary. All of the organs, everything in your body is functioning in perfect order and magnificence right now. Everything in your body. You did not say, I am going to wake myself up at 7 o'clock in the morning and set that intention without maybe an alarm clock and all kinds of external stuff. But what woke you up really? Not the alarm clock, not your internal wake-up call. What woke you up really is the divine creator and creation that you are, that gave your body permission to wake up this morning. It's not just that you woke up because you set the alarm or the TV came on or whatever it is that you do to wake up. It's that you were given permission from creation itself. Your purpose is still calling you to wake up and live. What you're here to do is still calling you to wake up and live. And so in that way, you are up, you're awake, you're in your body. You are not here to just make it. You are not here. Even the birds and the trees know they're not here just to make it. They know they're here to sing a song, and they get up every day and sing that song. Early in the morning, 5 o'clock, they're singing. And they sing all day, and they flit all day. And they know that they're supposed to take seeds and scatter them across the earth so that new plants can be growing. They know what they're supposed to do, and they just go about it. So what makes you think, as great as you are, magnificent as you are, with your own ability to choose, that you're anything less than perfect? What allows you to do that is an ego and a system of beliefs that we have put into place, that we have individually agreed to and collectively agreed to. And I'm telling you right now, everybody in this room is here to break free from that and to break those agreements. And you start with spiritual practices. And you start with confronting why I believe what I believe. You start with confronting, and it's hard, it's scary, because that means you're giving up life as you know it. But life as you know it is not working, and you know it, because you are living in that unfulfilled existence. You know it. You know it's not working, so break out of it now. Choose to start with spiritual practices, to start with learning new ways, to confront yourself, to hear yourself, to listen more to the madness and the stuff you tell yourself to keep you in a box. When you tell yourself, I can't start over. When you tell yourself, this is the only way. If I do it differently, something's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. It's going to fail, but you forgot that you have already survived every worst day that you've ever lived. What makes you think that any other worst day is going to be different? You got to get up and break out of it, and you have to trust in the process. Become courageous. Go from what you say you believe. You're here because you believe that there is a new way of being in the world. That's why you're here sitting in these black chairs. You're here because you believe there's a new way. You're here in support of a new way. Okay, now move from what you believe. We got to move from what we believe and move into what we know. And when you know the truth, you live from the truth. So you got to take time now to just center down and really start to examine what you believe and really what you know. And start to shift your belief into a knowledge, a body of knowledge from which you live your life. You got to stop practicing the madness, practicing the old way, and release your commitment to failure. Release your commitment to just being. And let me say this, man. It is never, ever too late to do that. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how committed you are to your old way. I don't care how connected you are to your old way. There is no place that it's ever too late. It is right now. All you have is right now. And all past experiences are just memories for you to use as a reference point, but not from you to live your life from. So let go and get into the presence, get into the right now, and become aligned with the truth of who and what you are. Perfect, whole, complete, created out of the image and likeness of that which created you. You are creation itself, created out of the very substance of God. That means you are imbued with the creative genius of God, with the love of God, with the light of God, with the harmony and the peace and the abundance of God. And you have access to every law that governs the universe. And it is only available to you to the extent that you're willing to activate it and receive it. Peace and blessings.